Hello, everybody, and welcome to AV Cyberactive. Hope everybody's having a lovely day. Today's topic of discussion is going to be Honeypot, HoneyNet, and Sandbox. Let's go through the definition first of all, one by one. So, what's the first thing that comes in your mind when you think of the word honeypot? Of course, it's full of honey and it's sweet, and most of all, it's lucrative, right? Now, with that mindset, let's go ahead. Let's first define what is honeypot. So a honeypot, of course, in technical terms, is a network attached system set up as a decoy. Remember these hot red words. It's a decoy to lure cyber attackers and detect and deflect and study hacking attempts to gain unauthorized access to information systems. So, in simple words, you're using or making it very lucrative for the attacker to deflect their attention to a system which, when compromised, doesn't affect the actual network. Next, HoneyNet. Very similar to Honeypot, but this time it is a network set up to catch a hacker's attention. It is designed to look and feel and act just like a network packed with tight and vulnerable or valuable resources. But it also contains plenty of monitoring tools. Why? So that you can lure in an attacker or a hacker and you can study how that person moves in the network. Hope that was pretty straightforward and clear. And the last one, that is Sandbox Environment. This one's a bit different, but it's important for you to know since you already are studying the differentiation between Honeypot and HoneyNet. So the definition is a sandbox is an environment, and it is isolated virtual machine in which potentially unsafe software code can execute without affecting network resources or your local applications. Now let's study and try to differentiate between them one by one. Let's bring up our corporate network. So we got our attacker, of course, the internet, your honeypot system, and you've got your few internal systems, servers, routers, and your internet firewall. All right, let's try to arrange them in a sequence on how a regular corporate environment may look like. Of course, your actual network will look a lot complex. This is only a conceptual diagram. Now, there's not one rule how you can put in a system or a honeypot system in your network. You can use either or both of the approach. First one, you can either put it in your DMZ network or you can also put it inside your network. Both have their own advantages and disadvantages. So what's the advantage if you keep your honeypot system outside or at the DMZ? Well, the advantage is it does not increase the risk for internal network, which means if an attacker is trapped inside the honeypot, it wouldn't crawl inside your internal network. Second, an external honeypot reduces the alerts issued by firewall. This means it reduces the alerts that are produced by the external firewall. However, there's a disadvantage. It can, and that is kind of obvious, it cannot trap an internal attacker, which means if the attacker is already inside your network, honeypot failed to do its job. Now, how about you go ahead and place your honeypot inside the network or along with the servers? Well, the advantage is it can also detect a misconfigured firewall, which means your firewall failed to stop the attacker and the attacker somehow made it inside your network. However, the story is not all roses. There are some disadvantages as well. The disadvantage here is a compromised honeypot. If placed inside the network, it opens more doors for the attacker to attack your internal systems as well. And that's a security risk. Also, your firewalls, this is an important one, your firewalls must adjust to its filtering rules to allow traffic to honeypot. What I want to say is here is you would have to put in additional rules, and more so your firewall should already have some option so that it can automatically adjust its rule to forward traffic automatically to honeypot network if it suspects that you are being attacked, so you can isolate it and waste the attacker's time. Hope that makes sense. Now, at this point of time, I'll highly recommend that you check another video that I've made that explains the difference between brute force, dictionary attack, and password attack. Alright, now let's go to the next one. That is HoneyNet. Alright, and this is going to be an interesting one. Let's try to understand. So, as you've studied before, a HoneyNet is a decoy network that contains, one or more honeypots. It more looks like a real network that contains, multiple systems that is hosted on one or more or fewer servers, each representing one environment. Now, you would see there's a honey vault here. So what does it do? So basically, an attacker is coming through your internet and the router will redirect the traffic depending on the request, either to the production or to a honey wall gateway. So a honey wall monitors the ongoing traffic in and out of the network and redirects all the honeypot instances which it suspects as an attack. You can configure the systems to have vulnerabilities into a honey net so that it makes it easy for an attacker to get trapped and waste their time. Now, any system on a honeynet may serve as an entry point for attacker. That's why the honeynet gathers, this is the most important part. The honeynet gathers information or intelligence on the attacker and diverts them from the real network. The main advantage of a honeynet over a simple honeypot that we studied earlier, that it feels more real or close to the real network and has a larger catchment area. There's another term that you should know here, that is entrapment. I'll link what does it mean, but do know that entrapment is illegal. Now this makes HoneyNet a better solution for your large and complex networks, but keep in mind it's very expensive and difficult to maintain as well. But it does the job very well to lure away the attackers from attacking your actual network and keep them busy so that you can learn from their moves, right? Alright, let's go to the next one. That is a sandbox environment. Now the sandboxing environment, it more so applies to software domain, as sandboxing offers a very safe and effective technique to validate your code, analyze how it works, and provide security to your network and data from threats. I'll take a very easy example, okay? And this is something that you won't even expect as a sandbox. You might have heard about VirtualBox or VMware Box, right? So what do you do over there? You create virtual instances of your favorite operating system so you can play around with softwares that you want to test. This is a partial example of sandbox because anything that you do here is isolated from the actual environment and does not skip its confined or isolated area. This is also a great place to test your code, or you can even test a ransomware or a malware, how it moves in the network. You can learn a lot of things if you design your VirtualBox or your sandbox carefully so that you can apply those mitigating controls in your own actual real environment or network. Now, there are many vendors available. The most used ones are Sophos, McAfee, and Kaspersky. They provide sandboxing services as well, which means if you have a sample of a malware file, you can directly upload it to an isolated environment. It'll run that piece of software or code in its own sandboxed or isolated environment and give you the results. This is very helpful if you want to test a new piece of software or an untested code. Hope that was clear. Now this was just the introduction to Honeypot, HoneyNet, and what's a sandbox. I'll leave some links down below so you can refer and gain more knowledge and study them in depth. Also, I'd like to bring your attention to a quick announcement, that is, if you're interested in getting trained in basic cybersecurity related topics, you can connect with me with the email that is provided in the description. Or if you need any kind of cybersecurity consultation, I'm open to that as well. Alright, and with that, I'll go ahead and end today's video. Hope you found it helpful. At the very least, share this video with your family and friends whom you think would benefit by watching this. Alright, so that was about Honeypot, HoneyNet, and Sandbox. I hope you all have a great day ahead and all the best. Bye now.